All right, this will be a look at one third down from the Ravens' first preseason game against the Titans. Of course, there's a lot of guys that are not on the field, starters for the Ravens and starters for the Titans as well. One of the things, and I'm going to let this play run while I talk. I'm hoping to keep this video under 8 minutes. There's been a couple people make fun of me in the comments section for having long videos of one play. There's probably some truth to that, but this one's going to be a long one. One of the things that we saw with the Ravens defense in previous years was over-reliance on man-free and what I would call an unsound version of man-free on third down. Bringing 5, having a free safety in the middle of the field deep, and no low hole dropper. Low hole, if you're unfamiliar with the terminology, is generally going to be between the hashes, but the NFL hashes are really tight, really close together. So that area, conceptually in your mind, should really be a wider area. But that area was always wide open, particularly on third downs. As you watch this develop one more time, you see that you've got some bluff rushers here. The Ravens end up bringing 4. Mike Macdonald was big on playing cover 2 at Michigan. Played a lot of cover 2 zone. And I don't mean Tampa 2, but it certainly doesn't look like it here. You got Tony Jefferson moving to center field. Kyle Hamilton had just given him a signal and dropped down. Now, why? Well, there's 3 receivers to this side. 1, 2. You always count from the outside in, even though I can't draw neatly. Sorry. You count from the outside in, so from the sideline in. And then number 3 is this tight end right here. So, by the way Kyle Hamilton drops down, it looks like it could be man-free. Kyle Hamilton could be dropping down to take number 3 man. Pepe Williams could be blitzing. So in that case, Kyle Hamilton could be dropping down to take number 2 man, and this guy could be the middle of the field free safety. Not to denigrate or criticize Wink Martindale, he did not disguise coverages this well. He did not. I think that when he had Marlon Humphrey, a healthy Jimmy Smith, and Marcus Peters, he didn't need to. He didn't need to disguise coverages. Our level of coverage talent just may not be as good as what Wink was used to. Now, we still have Marlon Humphrey, and we still have Marcus Peters, both of which are coming off season-ending injuries. We've drafted Kyle Hamilton, but we do not have the same level of pure man coverage guys that Wink Martindale had, particularly during that 2019 season and even 2020. This is a great coverage against Trey. So Trey, if you see the formational, designation I've got up there, Trey's tight end trips. So it's a tight end, right? Your Y, and then the number 2 and number 1 receiver are off the line of scrimmage outside of him. And I call, additionally, in the system that I'm familiar with and the database that we keep online, we call it B gun when the running back is away from the strength. So Trey left is the formation, and then B is the back to the other side. It's really that simple. Great coverage. Cover 2 on the backside. So you've got corner pressing number 1 in. Jefferson, who could be a little better with his back pedal, if you ask me. I think he's a little high as the high safety. So, whatever route is run here on the backside, you would theoretically be able to cover in terms of if it's a deeper route. If it's an in-breaking route, then one of these linebackers at some point should be at good enough depth to be able to be in that window. Now, this is not a linebacker. This is Pepe Williams, who does a great job, even in zone, of keeping his eyes on that number 2. I think Rod Woodson even pointed it out. It is zone. You can see the cover 2 element of it. But number 1 is carrying, the corner is carrying number 1 vertical a little further. So you may have a different call there. You may have what some people call cover 6. I don't call it quarter. I don't call it cover 6. We would call it quarter, half, meaning Kyle Hamilton and then Jackson down here at the bottom of the screen are responsible for 1/4 or a quarter of the field. So cut it in half like this. Even though I call this cover 2 in my system, in my database right there, take this half of the field, you got 2 out of 4, or 2/4, which is reduced to 1/2. And then the top side is the other half. So quarter, half. Some people call it cover 6. Whatever you want to call it, whatever it is, it's a well-designed coverage. It's something that appears to intentionally be done. Even this hand signal appears to intentionally be done to confuse the quarterback. making him think that one coverage is coming, and maybe 4 of these guys, maybe 5, maybe even all 6 are blitzing, and then in the end, we're dropping 2 of those guys out, only rushing 4. And look, this guy right here, Broderick Washington, he's an extremely underrated player. Just from the film of that game against the Titans, Broderick Washington had an impact. Even going back to the Bengals, the second game against the Bengals last year, Broderick Washington was balling. Of course, last year we had Brandon Williams. We thought we were going to have multiple other guys who weren't healthy all year. Calais Campbell had some injury problems later in the year. Guys who have a bigger reputation than Broderick Washington. Broderick Washington can play. He can help this team. I like the spacing here. I think we're going to play more zone than man, even though there have been some situations where Mike Macdonald has played what I would call two-man. I will have a longer video about the coverages on third down, to be honest with you, that the Ravens used in this Titans game. A lot of backups on the field, don't get me wrong. But early in the game, I believe this was the first third down, you have a very clear example of our defensive coordinator and our defensive staff, because look, at the bottom of the screen it says Mike Macdonald's defense. This is not Mike Macdonald's defense. This is the Ravens' defense. And every coach on that side of the ball is responsible for some element. So it's not just Mike Macdonald's defense. Now, if you co-sign that statement I just made, you kind of have to say the same thing about Greg Roman and the offense, but you might not be willing to say that, are you? But we'll go back to the point. A very clear example of us on the first third down of the game showing the quarterback, Malik Willis, a young guy, one look, and then changing it to another look. Why? What's important about that? It's the first third down of the game. In no way, shape, or form am I saying that Malik Willis can't interpret or identify the coverages. Don't get on that shit. That's not what I'm saying. This is an intentional thing on the first third down of the game to implant or install in his brain a slight indecision about what coverage it might actually be. If we had done this on the fourth third down of the game, it might not be as powerful, because being as it's the first one, it's the first time we showed him a third down look and then morphed it or changed it into something else. I'm not sure if I'm making my point, in a really succinct way, or even a way that makes sense to you guys. Maybe in the comment section, feel free to add on to it or explain it a little better than I did. It's important to understand you don't just want to confuse the quarterbacks, because you're not going to do that. Malik Willis, every NFL quarterback is smart, but what you can do is slow down their processing, slow down their reads and recognition slightly, maybe by 1/4 of a second, maybe even by 1/10 of a second, to give the pass rush longer to get there, to give the coverage guys more time to close on plays and close throwing windows. I like the zone look. I like the zone look on third and I think it's 3rd and 7. Well, I guess it's 3rd and 6, it looks like. I like the zone look early, and then later on, us adapting our coverages, playing a little bit more aggressive, bringing 5. Like I said, I will have a longer video out about Mike Macdonald's third down coverages in that preseason game. We get another look at it when we play play Arizona in the second preseason game, and that's going to be probably more interesting because they're a spread team. They're an air raid team. Cliff Kingsbury comes from an air raid system. Kyler Murray played in the air raid system in college, and I believe a spread system in high school. Anyway, let me know what you think of my thoughts here. This is supposed to be a short video, but I went on too long talking about one play, how the Ravens' defense is going to be a little different than last year in terms of what we show and then what we actually play post-snap.